What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? This is going to be Love and Hip Hop New York season episode. It'll be in the description. But so look, this is another episode. I thought there were a couple of really good parts here where we saw again we see reality meeting. You know, and I always talk about reality TV meeting reality. It was a couple of things that happened. Love and Hip Hop New York is not, for me, it's never been the most exciting of the franchise, but this season they are really bringing us some real shit. Like it's some real stuff going down. But let's get with the other stuff first. We start this episode off. We have Jonathan, Sydney Star, Mariah Lynn meeting at his plastic. Well, I don't think is it a plastic surgery when you get Botox? Is that are they considered plastic surgeons or cosmetic? Whatever they are. Jonathan went to go get him some Botox and he brought the girls along for the ride. Why, I don't know. But they were there. And basically he was talking to Sydney Star about what went down at his makeup event and how she acted in the whole situation with her and Sin. Now let me say this to y'all. There's a couple of things this episode that I had to try to go back in my memory and be like, when I was young, would I have reacted this way? When I was young, was that such a big deal? Now, I'm going to say the whole bucking at me thing, that was definitely a sign of, are you ready to fight? When you bucked at somebody, you better be ready for a swing to come because that's what's coming next. Now, the bucking thing, I think they kind of took it, they kept it going really far with it, but I definitely understood where they were saying that could be a problem, because like I said, now I will say that when you were younger and somebody bucked at you, that's what that meant. That was square up, let's go. Sydney was, and I don't mean this to be disrespectful in any way, shape, or form, so don't come for me in my comments. I am so sick of Sydney's bad behavior being blamed on her being transgender. And I don't mean other people. I mean her. Like, she's using that as her excuse to do whatever she wants to do, say what she want to say, and act how she want to act. Now, she said that she felt like Sin was coming for her womanhood, and she took that personally. As a transgender woman, I definitely can understand that when you feel like somebody is questioning your womanhood, I can see where that would be a problem. However, that's not how I took that. You walked up in there on 20. You disrespected Sin. You took the outfit she gave her, cut it up, turned it into some bullshit, and then was like basically dared her to say something about it. To me, that ain't on Sydney. I mean, that wasn't on not, I keep saying Sin, Naya. That was on you. And I don't think that had anything to do with, and I understand what Jonathan is saying was, I'm gonna say what Jonathan said. I didn't see it like that, but if that's how you took it, then I understand that that's how you took it. But I ain't see it like that. Kimbell and Jewels, he getting ready to go for his sentencing. They trying to get it in anywhere, everywhere, however, wherever, whenever they can get it in. But but Jewel's babysitter is his mama now. The judge allowed him to move into the house with Kimbella, but he had to take his mama with him. So mama is, they had that little scene where Kimbella was just trying to get it in, and mama was like, can you put them groceries away, though? Anyway, it was just a cute little scene. But, I mean, we know that Jewels is, in that moment, he's getting ready to go plea. And that's what you do. You get as much time as you can, because, hell, we know he's going away for at least, what was it? I think the last offer was 3 years, maybe? 2.5 to 3 years? Something to that effect. So, alright, here we get with, now let's get to the real shit. This is where that, like I said, this is where that reality meets the real right here. So, Rich flew down to Memphis. Was it Memphis? Mississippi. Rich flew down to Mississippi to be with Miracle because she has her court hearing come up. Look, I ain't figured out yet. Is Miracle in shock? Is Miracle in denial? Is Miracle dumb? I ain't figured out which one it is yet. It's either shock, denial, or dumb. I'm going to go with the middle. I'm going to go with denial. I've had to deal with situations with family members, friends who were dealing with some serious life situations, and they sort of stuck their head in the sand and couldn't understand why the people around them were acting the way they were acting and got really offended. Like, well, it's my life, it's this, is that. Okay, cool, but I don't think you really understanding the totality of your situation right now. And as your friend, I need to be that voice in your ear to say, "Bitch, you're going to jail." You see what I'm saying? So Rich is trying to be that person. Rich is trying to tell her, you need to take this seriously. What is going on? And Miracle is just got her head stuck in the sand. And first of all, we find out that she's got a public defender. And it's no disrespect to public defenders, but let's be real. Public defenders have a lot of cases with a lot of different people, and not as many resources or as much time as a private lawyer. When I worked when I taught in the juvenile detention center, you saw the system work differently when somebody had a lawyer that they paid for versus a public defender. And again, it is no disrespect to people who are public defenders. Y'all work hard. Matter of fact, y'all work more than hard. Y'all get y'all asses handed to y'all. And that's all the more reason why when people can afford to get a private attorney where they're paying for the resources and the attention and all that extra stuff that comes with having a private attorney, people do it. So Rich was like, you have a public defender, why didn't you tell me you needed a lawyer? And she was like, because you just paid all that money to get me out on bail. And no, he was like, why do you have it? She was like, I couldn't afford one. And he was like, why didn't you tell me? Well, I mean, you just paid all that money to get me out on bond, so I didn't want to say nothing. Do what? I feel like Rich is bending over backwards to do a whole lot that a lot of people wouldn't do. And that's not we got a lot of opinions about Rich when it comes to how he deal with women and stuff like that. But in this situation, I can't take nothing from him because he's doing more than a lot of people would do. Above and beyond what a lot of people would do. And he's not obligated to do any of it. His obligation is to his daughter, not his daughter's mother. But I feel like you knew if you had asked, you had the help. And the fact that you won't ask anybody and you won't reach out to anybody. So then he starts asking her about the plea. And she was like, well, I didn't take the plea. He was like, why didn't you take the plea? She said, because I would have had to register. I would have been a felon, and I don't want to be a felon for the rest of my life. He was like, are you running for governor or something? Like, what the fuck? And again, I know it's easy for somebody on the outside to say, why would you choose that? And I understood where she was coming from. First of all, she don't feel like she's guilty. So that's number one. Number two, not only do I not feel like I'm guilty, if I take this plea, I got to register not register, but I'm going to be a felon for the rest of my life. I understand where she's coming from, but her affect is so, it's so blah. Like, I don't know. It just seems like she's just not getting it. It's not sinking in. So then they go to court. I'm just going to go ahead and jump to that. So then they go to court and they meet the public defender and everything, and come to find out there is no plea bargain on the table. I don't know if they offered a plea and when she didn't accept it, they pulled it, or if there was never really a plea there to begin with, because again, with Miracle, I don't know what the fuck is going on. And neither does Rich. And he's not really getting straight answers when he's asking her questions. He's not really getting, at least to my satisfaction, I don't think he's really getting these straight answers. And I'm just like, Miracle, what is wrong with you? Like, I get it. Here's what I'm going to say, and then I'm going to move on because I'm nobody's lawyer. The state. I'm sure the state has heard your version of the story. If the state felt like this was truly a self-defense case, they would never have brought charges. So, you saying that it was self-defense, that doesn't mean it wasn't. That doesn't mean that that it wasn't domestic abuse and this man didn't treat you bad. That doesn't mean that it's true or not true. It just means that the state feels like it's not, and that they feel like they have a case against you for manslaughter or attempted manslaughter, whatever the fuck they charging you with at this point. And then Rich not let it slip, but Rich says something. The witness is cooperating. Now remember, before he wasn't going to press charges and it was just going to be whatever. But now that she's being charged, he's cooperating with the state. You got a problem, Miracle, because if the state felt like it was self-defense and that it was a justified shooting, it would have never got here. It's something with this story that and again, they don't have to tell us. I mean, they might be editing out because they need to, they don't need to tell us everything. But it's something with this story that ain't connected. The state feels like they got something. Now, her lawyer said, look, we got a good case and it's going, I mean, at this point, it's going to trial. And her lawyer feels like they have a good case, but I don't know. I'm just going to keep it in prayer, like real talk, because this is a real situation. Like, this ain't no Mona Scott Young shit. This is a real situation that Rich is dealing with. So, I just have to keep it in prayer for them, like, for real. Like, real talk. For real. Alright, so back to the fuckery. Alright. Oh, no, before we go back to the fuckery, let's talk about one more real story. So, Alexis Scott almost got shot. She was at lunch with Treyway and Tekashi 6ix9ine and the rest of the people or a bunch of other people on the label, and there was shots fired. She was there at the time. Now, at first she said she was caught in the crossfire. Then she said, well, she was there and it was scary, and they got her out and they got her safe, but she still shook up, which she should be. Don't get me wrong. I've told y'all before. I have been in situations where I have been around gunfire. It is not fun. It is. I don't give a fuck whether you in the direct crossfire or you just in the place and heard gunshots. Baby, I grew up in DC in late 80s, 90s. So trust and believe, I'd have been around gunfire. I'd have been at parties. I'd have been at clubs. I'd have been at go-go's. I'd have been around gunfire. So it's not fun and it is scary. And you could tell that Alexis was shook. You know what I mean? You could tell she was shook. And her grandmother gave her some good shit, though. Her grandmother said, you need to stop posting everywhere you gonna be. And she said, well, Mommy, that's how I make my money. Her grandmother said, what's more important, your money or your life? Well, Grandmommy, that's how I make my money. Okay. All right, then. Keep posting every fucking place you gonna be and when you gonna be there. Keep it up. Anyway. Whatever. You ain't getting paid that much money to post that you going to the club. Anyway, moving on. So, but that was the other thing that happened. And like I said, we all know that in real life, Tekashi 6ix9ine is in jail. And I think is Treyway in jail? But clearly right now, they don't have the attention to focus on you and your situation because they got their own shit going on. So, it's unfortunate for Miss Alexis Scott, but Alexis Scott in real life is out there hanging out with the Kardashians now. So who knows what the hell, honey? Whatever, honey. I guess Grandma got the baby while she over at Rob's house frying him some goddamn chicken. Whatever. Alright, back to the fuckery. So Jonathan decides to put together a winery trip in the middle of winter. Now let me tell y'all something. Alright, I'm gonna get there. It's Jonathan, Sin, Naya, Mariah Lynn, Sydney, Kimbella. And of course he said that if he feels like that, if Sydney Starr explains to Naya why she was upset, that she felt like her womanhood was being challenged and that's why she reacted the way she reacted. Jonathan says, I feel like Naya will be open to hearing it. Maybe, maybe not. Because I don't think it's that one situation. There have been a couple of situations where Sydney, was disrespectful to Naya. And, it's only but so many times somebody going to basically tell you kiss their ass. You know what I mean? So, Jonathan gets 2 different cars to pick them up. So, I keep saying Sin. Naya is in the car with Jonathan, and Sydney's in the car with Kimbella and Sin. And Sydney jumps in the car. First of all, they don't even know her. So, she jumps in the car, and they like, hi. And of course, she jumped in the car on 20. Hey, it's me. I'm here to tear this shit up. And they were looking at her like, how the fuck we get stuck with this, Jonathan? How you set us up like this? But they talked or whatever, and they were like, okay, cool, And Sin asked her point blank, so you a messy bitch? She was like, well, I think once you get to know me, you'll know that I'm cool. She was like, okay, whatever. Kimbella was like, she might be alright and everything, but all I'm saying is, how you gonna walk? It's 30 degrees outside. How you got on a mini skirt? She don't wear no clothes. That's what Naya tried to tell her. Put some damn clothes on. You can still be sexy with clothes on. Like, That is such a misconception for people to feel like you can't be sexy with clothes on. You can be sexy with clothes on. Stop thinking that the only way you can be sexy is if your breast is hanging out and your boobs is hanging out. So Jonathan talking about I rented out the whole vineyard. It's just gonna be us here. Yeah, because it's the middle of motherfucking winter and people don't go to the vineyards in the middle of winter. People don't do that. Now, I'm not saying vineyards aren't open. I'm not saying, but and you ain't rent out shit. Mona Sky Young rented out the vineyard. Anyway, be clear. You mean you rented out that side of the vineyard? Anyway, so they get there and they're walking around, and Sydney says, "Can I speak with Naya?" And at first she was gonna do it in front of all of them, and Jonathan said, "No, no, no. We'll go explore. Y'all talk." Now, Sydney, instead of her saying, "Look, this is why I reacted the way I reacted, because I felt like you were questioning, my womanhood, and I took that as an offense, and I took it personally. I'm very sensitive about that because, as a transgender woman, that's something that's very sensitive to me, that people are saying, well, you're not a real woman, or you don't know how to act like a real woman." I do feel like had she been sincere and came at Naya that way, I do feel like Naya would have heard her. I'm not saying Naya would have forgiven her, but I do think Naya would have heard her. But that ain't what Sydney said. Sydney talking about I just wanted you to give me another chance to be your friend. I just want to let you know, that the third time is a charm, and I do really miss your friendship. That's not how you apologize to somebody. And so Naya responded accordingly and was like, no. Like, she was like, look, I ain't ready for no kumbaya moment. Basically, what Naya said was, all right, I'm not going to whip your ass, which is what I was probably ready to do on site. I'm not going to whip your ass. However, we ain't friends. You got to give me a minute. And what she said to her was, you got to show me. Like, you telling me you going to be better and you going to be cool. No, you got to show me that you because you keep doing shit, apologizing, and I'm not going to keep doing this cycle with you. And Sydney couldn't get it. She kept trying to hug her and kept trying to, and Naya was like, no, I told you, like, we not there yet. Like, don't hug up on me, don't touch me. We're not there yet. And she wouldn't listen. Like, she just kept pushing, poking the bear. So they go down, they go to have their little I Love Lucy moment. Mariah and Sydney jump in there and they smashing the grapes or whatever. And Mariah talking about something, my feet are clean, I got a pedicure. Having a pedicure don't mean your feet clean. Unless you just had the pedicure. I had a pedicure on Sunday. That don't mean my feet are clean today. You feel what I'm saying? That don't mean it. One don't equal the other. Anyway, and Sydney talking about when she was stepping down in there talking about let me be careful before I mess up, before I come untucked, and just all kinds of stuff, honey. I was like, this is some bullshit. Anyway, and of course they're in there twerking and humping and all kinds of stuff. But okay, it's good fun. Like, I ain't gonna trip off that. It's good fun, whatever. So Mariah, in her confessional, say point blank, I know Kimbella and Yandy ain't cool, so I'm about to go find out what the tea is. So she's cozying up to Kimbella, and she purposely gonna say shit to get Kimbella to talk about Yandy, talking about we don't even really get to hang a lot anymore. I always see you, with Kimbella and stuff. No, good and damn well, see you with Yandy. No, good and damn well, Kimbella gonna be like, yeah, nah, I ain't with Yandy no more. Like, we ain't like that no more. So they get to talking, and here's where I got a problem with Miss Mariah. They get to talking about the foster child situation. And Mariah starts questioning Yandy's sincerity. Yandy has never done anything to you, Mariah. Yandy has never given you, at least on the show, given you any reason to question her from that point of view. So what I'm not understanding is, why are you sitting here now having a whole full-blown conversation with Kimbella about Yandy and her sincerity, talking about somewhere. I was I'm sorry. Talking about someone, I was a foster child, and you just can't be playing games with people's emotions. And I just hope Yandy is not, taking her out, going through the blogs and going to all these interviews and stuff. And then when she gets tired of her, just going to throw her away. What has Yandy done to make you think that that's what she doing? You don't even have that kind of experience with Yandy. Now, Kimbella was making her little comments here and there, but to be perfectly honest with you, Kimbella wasn't even going in on Yandy the way Mariah was, in my opinion. I mean, Kimbella said that, she knows Mariah. I mean, she knows Yandy, and that Yandy ain't all that sincere as people think she is. She was like, but I felt like Mariah was going in deeper than Yandy was. I mean, than Kimbella was. So then they all come back. The group comes back together, and Sydney and Nia get to talking again, and the whole bucking thing came up again. The whole bucking thing, and Naya's thing is, I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to turn over a new leaf, but I think you're taking my kindness for weakness, and you got people out here thinking that I'm soft, and I'm not. Like, I will still whoop your ass, although I'm really trying to be a better person, but I will still whoop your ass. And so Sydney was like, well, I was bucking at you because I just wanted you to shut the fuck up. What'd she say that for? What'd she say that for? So that argument started there, and Jonathan was like, we were doing real good until you said shut the fuck up. Like, you can't just be saying that. You can't say you bucked at somebody because you wanted them to shut the fuck up. Like, it erupted into a whole nother conflict. So they separate them. They get ready to go to the actual wine tasting. It is dark as hell. It's probably cold as hell. If it was 30 degrees when the sun was out, it's got to be 10 degrees now. I don't know. They getting ready to actually have the wine tasting now. And they had Sydney off somewhere else to get her to calm down. So it was just Kimbella, Mariah, Jonathan, and Nia. Yeah. So they get to talking about Yandy again. And Jonathan is like, well, first of all, that's my friend, and I'm not getting ready to sit here and participate in the conversation with you talking about my friend. Second of all, Mariah, I didn't even know you had beef with Yandy. Like, where is this even coming from? And third of all, at the end of the day, if y'all gonna make me choose, you might not be happy with the decision I make. And so Kimbella was like, look, here's the deal, Jonathan. I get it. Yandy is your friend and you riding for her. When I was friends with Yandy, I did the same thing. So I understand and I get it. And at the end of the day, you're going to figure it out. And you're going to figure out who Yandy really is when she burns you too. And in the meantime, it's cool. Ain't no hard feelings. I ain't even mad about it. I still love you. And she got up and walked off to go check on Sydney. So then Mariah gets to going back and forth with Jonathan. And that's when Jonathan made the comment about basically, if you make me choose, you probably not going to be happy with the choice. So Mariah gets in her feelings. Oh, so what you trying to say? What's that mean? And then Nia was like, no, you would choose me. You wouldn't choose her. You would choose me. Sort of pushing Mariah off to the side a little bit. But I think it was all in fun. I don't even think Nia meant it in a mean way or whatever. But at the end of the day, Jonathan just letting y'all know, like, look, Yandy is one of my closest friends, and if I gotta choose between Yandy and y'all bitches, random bitches that I've been hanging with because of the show, I'm gonna tell you who it's gonna really be. And you can tell that him and Yandy are really friends. When he went over Yandy's house a couple of episodes ago, her kids knew him. Like, it wasn't they were like, Jonathan, so you could tell that they are really friends in real life. And Kimbella handled it the best way. I think Kimbella handled it the best way. She said, look, when I was friends with Yandy, I was riding to die for her too. You going to figure it out, and it's cool. You going to have to figure it out like I figured it out. And on that note, I'm going to exit stage left. But no. Mariah decides to get in her feelings talking about so what you trying to say? Well, you know what? Don't worry about it. You ain't got to choose nobody. I choose me. I'm choose me. And she gets up and like she going to walk off or whatever. And Jonathan was like, is it really that serious? Like, what's going on here? Like, why are you really going? Why are you taking it there? So then Nia gonna say, bye, baby, or baby, bye, some shit. Well, first of all, I ain't even gonna say that. I ain't even gonna talk about when Mariah said, what'd she say? Damn it. I had to go back and look at it because it was funny as hell when she said it. Hold on, what'd she say? She said, with a salt of grain. Instead of grain of salt, I take it with a grain of salt. She said with a salt of grain. And she said that shit with conviction. Like, she just knew she said the right thing. And all of them kind of paused and looked at her like, yeah, all right then. And so, as she's walking, I'm bringing back to this. So, as she's walking off, Naya said something like bye boo, bye baby, bye something like that, and Mariah took it like she was just disrespecting her, talking about I'm nobody's baby and who she thinks she talking to. Mariah was gone. She was literally gone. Off, they were on like a porch, off the porch. She turns around and comes back to start arguing with Naya, and they get to arguing. Next thing you know, Naya tried to fuck Mariah up. Here comes security, and they breaking it up. And Naya's thing is, Mariah knows how to push my buttons. She know how serious I am about trying to change my image and not be that person. But she knows how to press my buttons. She knows what to say to me to get me to go on 100. And so she was mad at Mariah, but she was mad at herself for allowing Mariah to provoke her. And Jonathan was like, don't be mad. Like, you didn't do anything wrong. Like, Mariah really was extra. Mariah was the one that really let this whole situation escalate. Don't be mad at yourself. Like, don't allow yourself to get, caught up or whatever. But I was just like, I didn't understand Mariah getting upset. Like, what did she say that was, again, like the bucking thing, okay, cool. But I didn't understand what Naya said that was so bad that made Mariah react the way she did. Anyway, honey, that's Love and Hip Hop. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Peace.